Welcome to Fresh Picked, a youth-based radio program that brings the voices and perspectives of artists to your ears. I'm Ashley Overbeek, and today we'll be meeting Mark Graham, a music preparation supervisor who blends business with art in countless Hollywood films.
I think I've worked on more than 750 movies now. I've worked on 3 Star Wars films, 5 Harry Potter films. Currently, Life of Pi that's out right now, I worked on that. Argo, Lincoln.
Every journey starts with a single step. Even as a teenager, Mark's dreams of becoming a musical performer helped to pave the way to the career he has today. Instead of going to university in England right after high school, Graham chose to play in a band, commuting and performing from the UK to the US on a cruise ship. Eventually, his travels led him to Hollywood, where he began his current career. Working in Hollywood is even more hectic than most people imagine. The constant clashing of emotions and perspectives makes Graham's job one of the most demanding. There are days when he will have to be a therapist to an angst-ridden musician, and others when he will have to be the composer himself, quickly writing scores to form a musical piece that perfectly aligns with the director's vision of a scene.
Well, let's walk through today. So today, I had a meeting with a saxophone player called Wayne Shorter. I don't know if you know who he is. Well, he's a kind of jazz legend, and he's been commissioned by 4 symphony orchestras nationwide to write a big piece which he's going to perform for them in the spring next year. So I went to his house, talked to him about finishing that up, which we'll do tomorrow. We're doing the Simpsons show tomorrow, so we're working on that. We're doing a Family Guy TV show on Monday, doing that. John Williams called me, and I'm going to his house tomorrow to do 2 piano pieces from the movie Lincoln, which he's going to sketch and I'm going to fill in tomorrow for publication. And then I discussed 3 or 4 movies that we're starting to work on over the next few weeks, one of which will involve a trip to London.
There are numerous outlets for musical self-expression. Though some may find solace in solitude, Graham thrives in conducting an amalgamation of contrasting opinions.
You can look at art in several ways. There's the kind of the view of the artist as kind of a solo, a very solitary person who works on their art, undisturbed by events and undisturbed by people around them, and that's kind of a somewhat popular view. But it's one way that you can express yourself. You can write a book. You can write a symphony. You can paint a picture, something like that, and it's a very kind of quiet, almost Dickensian way of expression, if you like. The art that I experience is all about working with large groups of people to create an artistic kind of result. A movie, hundreds of thousands of people working together for that kind of artistic experiment. A record or a CD or a music recording project. It involves working with a lot of other artists, all of whom have a slightly different view of what the end result will be, and kind of making that happen. And that's my experience of it. So there's an artistic part of that, but there's also a part of having to deal with other people, generally who are quite highly strung and rather opinionated, and making something that's real from all of that.
Stressful last-minute fixes are expected events in the movie industry. Though the Diagon Alley scene in Harry Potter flows effortlessly on the screen, behind the scenes, Mark Graham was using all of his skills to resolve glaring musical emergencies in the nick of time.
So on Harry Potter, there's a scene in one of the films with a place called Diagon Alley in the picture, and there's this kind of wizards and stuff like that, and there's a little kind of piece in this which is a music piece played by 3 accordion players, and they're in the movie. You actually see them. And when we were recording the soundtrack, John Williams, the composer, had written something for these 3 accordions, and we had to get 3 accordion players to come to the studio, and they were playing with like a little band of like a bass and a guitar and some stuff and a piano or whatever, but the whole orchestra was sitting there because they were in a booth at one side. So we played this little piece of music, and he called me to the podium and said, there aren't any strings playing. And we kind of looked at each other, and I said, well, you didn't write any strings. There was a kind of moment, and he said, well, you know what to do. So I knew that meant that I had to go into another room while he did something else for half an hour, write some string material, and which we duly recorded, and it's in the movie.
relationship between the music and the cinematography in movies is inseparably interdependent. Music is used to create mood, to breathe life into the silent scenes that unfold on screen. Graham has often done what he refers to as playing a scene. That is, contriving the music to make the audience feel a certain way.
It's a film about a man-eating shark, and it was done in a time before special effects were very well advanced, and there were no digital special effects. So the whole threat of the shark in the ocean was done with music, because really you couldn't see the shark for most of the film. It pops up every now and then, but you're not really aware of the danger of it. But the music created such a mood of fear that it did the job. So as soon as the shark actually turned up, everybody was absolutely terrified because the music had done it. But if you watch that film with different music or without music, it's just like it's like a film about a beach holiday. Everybody's having a great time on the sea, but with the addition of that particular music, completely changes the nature of the movie and the experience of watching it.
I decided to re-watch Jaws while listening to upbeat pop music instead of the original score. The scenes with the shark felt discontinuous with the rest of the movie, and the suspense had been sucked out of every frame. The peppy beats were far worse than silence. I kept on thinking I was watching a cheesy home video of spring break on the beach, with a rather large shark toy occasionally popping out of the water. I recommend giving any horror movie or thriller a musical purge by substituting electronic house music in for the ominous orchestra. Music stirs those emotions of fear and panic within us, not just what we watch on the screen.